Welcome, Stache. It's another episode of Stache Sports. I hope we're all doing well, especially Jake. I'm doing good too. I kind of commented on your comment yesterday, but I'm doing fine. Even though my Penguins lost last night at the end of the season against the most hated rival, the Philadelphia Flyers. It was a good game. The Penguins should have got a shot on, but they could not get a shot past that goaltender. But was playing really good last night. And Offer Sheeloff was playing really good too. The game went to overtime, which was a sudden death overtime. And that's what the Penguins' kryptonite was this year. It's not winning in overtime, and they lost again in overtime. But it's kind of fitting that the Penguins lost in overtime when that was the kryptonite. And that was one of the struggles this year. And the new head coach, Dan Muse. That was one of the kryptonites that they could not win in. They could not win in the overtime periods and the shootouts. But luckily in hockey overtime it's a go to shootouts. But they lost in the overtime. I mean, they did lead. They did have control in that game and had the most shots, but they could not get one past the goaltender of the Philadelphia Flyers, and they got one off the crossbar, and then from a long shot by the Philadelphia Flyers, they move on, which will probably get swept by Carolina next round anyway, but they moved on. But let's face it, it was a good season, like I've been saying. Who would have figured that the Penguins would be this far into the playoffs this year? Into the playoffs, when a lot of these people thought that the Penguins would stink this year. I mean, a lot of these experts thought that the Penguins would be one of the worst teams. They'll be stuck to get a number one pick to try to get Gavin McKim from Penn State or be in the lottery and hope they can get the lottery balanced and get a first round pick. But luckily, they weren't that bad, and they made it to the playoffs. And it almost looks like they're going to get swept by the Philadelphia Flyers, their much hated rival. But they came back and almost made a game, and almost made it to Game 7. So it was a good season, even though it was a bigger pill to swallow and a frustrating loss last night to much hated rival, the Philadelphia Flyers. But we'll get over it. Now the real question is, are the big three going to be back? Because Chris Letang's getting older, and Evgeny Malkin is on a contract here. From a lot of reports, it seems like Evgeny Malkin wants a 2-year contract. I think the Penguins should re-sign him. I know he's getting older, but I want to see him finish his career here and not wear another sweater for another team or another jersey. That's what they call jerseys in hockey. But I don't want to see him wear another jersey for another team in hockey, and I want to see him finish his career. Also, will Chris Letang retire this year? I mean, Chris Letang was okay this year, but Chris Letang did not look like his old self. I mean, he did okay in the playoffs, but he definitely looked like his age. So it's probably time going to catch up to him, and will he retire this year? But they're going to be tough questions for the Pittsburgh Penguins to have to deal with this year. And who are they going to re-sign? Are they going to re-sign Anthony Mantha? Because Anthony Mantha's on the contract here, so will he go somewhere else? There's not many other players that Kyle Dubas brought in. I mean, now we have a lot of draft picks, and I trust Kyle Dubas. Kyle Dubas is a lot better GM than that bozo we have in Philadelphia. But Kyle Dubas has a lot on his plate this year. And what's Evgeny Malkin going to do? Is there going to be turmoil in that contract too? Let's hope not. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Penguins now that their season's over. I mean, at least they made it this far. When they didn't think they'd make it this far, besides Bob Pompian, I think was the only one that really believed that they might make it to the playoffs. At least they made it this far. But we'll see. We'll see. At least they made it, and they can say that. But now the season's over. I really hope they bring Malkin back for at least for one more year. It'll be nice to see Malkin finish his career in Pittsburgh. But we'll see. That's going to be the tough part if Malkin is agent. I mean, they should have probably gave Malkin a contract early on in the year when he's playing a lot better, so we didn't have to worry about this in the offseason. But now we have to worry about it. So will they re-sign Evgeny Malkin? I really hope so, because Evgeny Malkin has been here my whole life. For the most part with Sidney Crosby. I mean, he got drafted by the Penguins and has been on a different team. And the two-headed monster has been one of the greatest duos in hockey history. I mean, it's going to be sad when that goes, but luckily, hopefully it's not this year. I really hope they re-sign him for another year. But on Chris Letang, I don't know if Chris Letang can come back next year. Like I said, he is getting older. And maybe they might need to try to find his replacement and try to play people young in that position. So I think that's one thing the Penguins hurt was their olderness in the playoffs. Also, I think the Penguins should have played Offer Sheeloff earlier on. I know Stuart Skinner's a better goaltender and more experience in the playoffs and took the Edmonton Oilers to back-to-back Stanley Cups, even though he lost to the Florida Panthers back-to-back years. I know he's a more experienced goaltender. In Game 1, he didn't look bad. But we were down 3-0. What would happen if they would have took him out when they put Offer Sheeloff in? Would we be down 3-0, or would the series have changed? Those are questions we have to ask ourselves and have to live with now for the rest of the year until next year's playoffs, because we don't live in this what-ifs world. So who would have figured that? But I'm less glad the Penguins made it this far. I know it sucked last night to watch the Flyers win, and parade around. But I don't think that'll be much further because I think Carolina and Buffalo are the teams that are going to come out of the East. One of those teams will come out of the East.
She's ready. Doesn't matter.
But we'll see. I think the Penguins are going to do good this offseason.
Oh, he's going. Yeah. Yeah. That'll be a while.
But we'll see. But good time by our general manager to get him. I mean, our general manager, Kyle Dubas, is doing good. He's going to have a lot on the plate this year to see what he deals with. Hopefully, Kyle Dubas figures out how to get Evgeny Malkin back in the fold. I don't know about Chris Letang, but we'll see. I mean, if it is an Evan error, it's going to be tough to see him in a different uniform. But Evgeny Malkin has been here for his whole career, so maybe he might finish it out somewhere else. I mean, he had one of his better years of late, when a lot of people thought Evgeny Malkin would be on his down year because of his age. He had one of his better years of late and looked really good in the regular season and did decent in the playoff, in our short playoff run. But we'll see. Hopefully Evgeny Malkin re-signs. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Anthony Mantha. Anthony Mantha's on a contract year. It didn't look good at all in the playoffs and looked quiet. But Anthony Mantha is on a contract year. I think he might want too much money for the Penguins' blood because he wants a lot of money since he's a little younger than Evgeny Malkin. So will he sign with the Penguins or will he sign elsewhere? What about Brauzal? Will he resign with the Penguins? I know the Penguins have a lot of draft picks now in these year's futures, so maybe they might not try to sign a lot of players and hope they can hit on people like Ben Kendall. Ben Kendall had a really good year this year for the Penguins. Who would have figured that youngster Penguin that's only 18 years old would turn around a career and have a really good career for the Penguins? So hopefully he looks good for the Penguins and hopefully he starts good for the Penguins. And keeps going good for the Penguins, but that's good to see Ben Kendall. I mean, I trust his new coaching and new management to help to find good picks in the draft if we go that route. But it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, the Penguins have a lot to think about this offseason by trying to sign Evgeny Malkin to a new contract. A lot of these experts, like last night on the sports call, think Evgeny Malkin wants a 2-year contract. I know Evgeny Malkin's getting older, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth paying him 2 years because, like I said, Evgeny Malkin didn't have one of his better careers yet. And if it wasn't for him when Sidney Crosby was out, who knows if we would have been in there. And also Erik Karlsson looked pretty good too, even though he didn't look good in the playoffs. Erik Karlsson looked really good for the Penguins. And I don't know, I don't think he's on contract here, but he just looked good. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting time to see what happens because the Penguins are getting older and they do have a lot of draft picks and they need to get younger because that's what a lot of these teams that are good are younger. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, Evgeny Malkin has been here his whole career. So I hope he doesn't play in another uniform. But if he does, I think he'll do good with another team because he did good this year for the Penguins. And a lot of experts in the know how good we'll do. A lot of these experts, even in local media like Andrew Filipone, Chris Mueller, and I think even maybe Rich Walsh, if all thought the Penguins would be bad. Only Bob Pompeani thought the Penguins would make it to the playoffs. I mean, I know it was a bitter pill to swallow, and it stinks that they lost to the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round, but the Philadelphia Flyers wanted more games 3 and 4. Like I said earlier, what would happen if we would have played Arthur Schulock, who looked a lot better as a goaltender in the last few games? What would happen if we had played him the whole series? Would that have changed? Or would we be on Stuart Skinner now? I don't know. That's one of the questions that they're going to have to deal with. And all these teams deal with if they play a different goaltender and they switch goaltenders and every goaltender is better during the series. That's what they have to deal with. That's a big question to see what happens with the Penguins. I mean, it is going to be interesting to see what happens now. But they don't have, but they have an offseason now. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Penguins and how that goes. But I do like head coach Dan Meeks, and I think he had a really good season, even though it came up short in the playoffs. And I think the Penguins will be back next year. I mean, we didn't make the playoffs for the first time since 2022, so you got to give credit to Dan Meeks and the coaching system. And he really did help Erik Karlsson look like the team MVP, even though Erik Karlsson didn't look good in the playoffs. He really did help Erik Karlsson change his career around and make him look like he was a Pittsburgh Penguin and not a waste of a trade. But a lot of people thought it was a good trade. And I trust Kyle Dubas. I mean, Kyle Dubas is a lot better than that Bozo GM we have in Philadelphia before. But Kyle Dubas has really turned the program around. I mean, I know he had a lot of draft picks, but I know people don't like him in Toronto. But I do like him up here, and I think he's a good GM, and I think given time, he'll turn his program around and try to give us good picks. because we did get Ben Kendall, and Ben Kendall was really good this year, like I've been saying. But we'll see. But we keep talking about the Penguins in future videos because I'm not giving up on them and my team. But now we're gonna switch to the Boston Celtics, since that's what's happening tonight. The Boston Celtics have been looking good all series long, and one game won big and won by the biggest point spread or biggest point margin in Celtics playoff history. And then they won game 2, I think. Or they lost one of them, but now they're down 3-2. And in game 5 they lost, but game 4 they won big too. I just don't get it. Celtics sometimes they're basketball. How the Celtics can look good in one game and they look totally flat the next game. I mean, I don't know if it's just the NBA is trying to get more people to watch, so they fix it somehow, but I don't get that sometimes. But I think the Celtics look good tonight. Hopefully Peyton Pritchard had a better night. Peyton Pritchard had an off night at night 4 in Boston, but he needs to look better tonight, and the Celtics need to look better too. And show them why they're number two seeded team in the playoffs, and not go down another one to Philadelphia and force a game 7. I don't know if that'll be good if they force a game 7. I mean, I think they'll still win if they force a game 7, but we don't need to go down that route, and we need to end it tonight and hope to see who we play again in the next round. But we'll see. But some of these stars can have a big night. I mean, Derek White has not been doing good during the playoffs right now. If Derek White can start doing better in the playoffs, that'll be good. But we'll see. I mean, Derek White needs to have a big night. Derek White has been kind of off the last few nights and hasn't been doing good. And Derek White has been one of the key contributors to the Boston Celtics this year and needs to be a key contributor in the playoffs. Or also, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum need to get off and get a hot start. But they need to have good defense. If we need to have good defense against Tyrone Maxey and against Joel Embiid and make sure that young guy, who I can't remember his name right now, doesn't beat them again. They need to have a good defense. They need to play all 4 quarters. They need to play tough. And if they're down, they don't need to give up like they did in the 4th quarter last time and start putting their backups in. I mean, their bench is doing pretty good. Their bench needs to keep doing good and keeps looking good for the Penguins. The Celtics. They need to keep looking good for the Celtics. I mean, the bench has been outperforming the Philadelphia 76ers the last few games, so they didn't have a good performance by the Celtics bench tonight. Let's hope the Celtics can win. I think Jason Tatum will have a big night. The game starts at 8 p.m. at Peacock and NBC Sports Network. But I think Jason Tatum will have a big night. I think Peyton Pritchard comes back tonight and has a big night. Maybe Derek White has had a big night and shuts up the haters, but I think he's not doing good in the playoffs right now. Maybe Derek White has a big night for the Boston Celtics. But the Celtics need to win. They don't need to force game 7 and have Philadelphia get any excitement about trying to win the series. I mean, I know the Celtics are looking good, and they're on the number 2 seed, and who would have thought they'd be the number 2 seed when we lost Jason Tatum this year? But they are the number 2 seed, but they need to focus on winning tonight. I mean, they're up 3-2, but they just need to close it out and not go back to Boston. But I know they've been looking better on the road this year so far in the playoffs, and they need to keep that up. They need to keep looking better on the road and looking better on the road and looking better in the team. But we'll see. Hopefully Jason Tatum has a big night, or Derek White, or maybe one of these bench players has a big night for the Boston Celtics. Like I said, their bench is doing really good. They have a really deep bench. That's something you need in the playoffs, to have a good playoff run, is have a good bench. And that's something the Boston Celtics are doing right now. They have a good bench and they're looking really good. So let's hope the Boston Celtics can continue winning and continue their winning ways tonight. I know game 5 was rough and they should have won that game, but the Philadelphia just wanted more. We need to play like that tonight on our shoulders, that we wanted more and we just want to finish them off and not have to worry about going back to Boston until the next series. But we'll see. I mean, I watch the games and I predict it, but sometimes I get it wrong. I think the Atlanta Hawks win tonight. I think the Atlanta Hawks upset. I think the Atlanta Hawks upset the Knicks tonight and make that a game 7. I think Denver wins tonight and makes that a game 7, but I think the Boston Celtics win. I think the Celtics are just too good right now, and I think they show why they're better tonight. I mean, they've been able to show why they're better in some of these games, so I think they look good tonight. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, you never know. That's why they play the games and you just watch on the sidelines, but you never know what happens. But I think they look good tonight. I think their defense figures out how to stop Joel Embiid and stop the Sixers tonight, which will be good. I think I think the Celtics win tonight, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, they're 26-15 away, and they're 56-22. But we'll see. Philadelphia's going to have a chip on their shoulder to try to beat us tonight and force a game 6. I mean, I know Philadelphia's our rival. We don't like the Sixers and don't like any Philadelphia teams, but we'll see. I think the Celtics win. I think Derek White has a big night tonight. I think he shuts up the haters and shows his Derek White playoff performance that we have seen in years past. I think he puts up a big night, or maybe Jaylen Brown has a big night, or Jason Tatum. We need some of our stars to have a big night, not just rely on our bench. We need our stars to show up and show out and show up right away. That'd be nice to see our bench show up. I mean, our stars show up. It'd be nice to see Jason Tatum have a big night. I can't still believe that Jason Tatum's here from having a torn Achilles, but it's so nice to see him back and see him back in his prime. I mean, Jason Tatum needs to have a big night for the Boston Celtics tonight, or Jaylen Brown, or Batman. Both of them need to have a big night and just put this team to bed, put the Sixers to bed tonight, and not have to worry about a Game 7 winner take all. And not have the Sixers have momentum coming back 2 games to tie it up. But we'll see. Hopefully they play a clean game tonight and the refs don't affect the game like sometimes they do in basketball. Hopefully it's not a game that the refs blow for us or help any team win, but we'll see. I think the Celtics win tonight. I think Derek White, like I said, has a big night. Maybe Peyton Pritchard has a big night. Or one of these bench players. Or Queta. I mean, Queta's looking really good. Queta needs to stop getting into early foul trouble for the Boston Celtics. That's one thing that's been hurting him, is he getting in early foul trouble for the Boston Celtics. So hopefully Queta can fix that, and not get in early foul trouble for the Boston Celtics, and they can look good tonight against the Sixers. But we'll see. We'll see. I think Jason Tatum has a big night, like I said before. But I think the Boston Celtics win. I think they look good tonight on the road. And I think they put down the Philadelphia 76ers and they go on to the next round of the basketball playoffs to either play the winner of the Atlanta Hawks or New York Knicks. But we'll see. I'll be watching the game tonight, hoping they win. But like I said, we need to have good defense. They need to have defense to help get it. And they need to get the rebounds too. That's something they missed. They need to get a lot of the rebounds and make sure they can make their shots and not go on and not live and die by the freeze. Sometimes that's what irritates me about the Celtics, is they live and die by the freeze, and if they don't go in, they just keep trying to shoot them and they not go in. They need to make buckets tonight, and need to make the baskets and hope their freeze go in. And if not, they need to start going to 2-point shots, easier shots to make sure they go in so they don't go down by a big lead tonight and just figure out what we're going to try to do in Game 7. They need to make sure they can make their baskets tonight and not live and die by the free like they've been doing. That's something that irritates me about the Celtics, but I mean, we'll see. They need to have a good offense and make sure they're scoring. But I trust our coach and he can make good adjustments. He's one of the better coaches in all of basketball, so I trust him. And Brad Stevens is a good general manager, too. I mean, we do have a good bench, so they need to show up. And Joe Mazzulla needs to help coach the Celtics tonight and make sure they do good. He needs to make sure the Celtics look good and look a lot better. I mean, the Celtics are one of the top teams in the East. And even though the Detroit Pistons won last night, they are the top team in the East, but the Celtics are the number 2 team, and they didn't look like that tonight. They need it because they have been showing it. I mean, I get it. Philadelphia is not a bad team, and they're going to come back, but it's just surprised me sometimes how the Celtics can win by so much and the next game not look good. But let's hope they can look good tonight and make a run for themselves and not have to worry about going to a Game 7, because if when they're going to take Game 7, you never know what's going to happen. Like I said, they don't need to live and die by the freeze tonight and need to make sure they can make buckets and get rebounds and get good offensive rebounds. But we'll see. I think the Celtics will win tonight. Last night, the Lakers lost to the Houston Rockets. The Lakers are up 3-0, and they lost to the Houston Rockets. Now they're up 3-2. The Houston Rockets look to force Game 7 the next time they play. But who would have figured that the Houston Rockets would come back from 2 point down to be up 3-0 now on the Lakers with LeBron James and company. But now the Lakers are one loss away from going down 3-game from losing the series. But we'll see. Hopefully, but we'll see. But we'll see what happens. And they also, Detroit Pistons won last night. I got that one wrong. I thought the Magic would win, but the Detroit Pistons won, and they forced another game. Going with Orlando. Will Orlando win and knock out the number 1 seed? Who knows? Or will the number 1 seed come back and force another game? That's going to be interesting to see what happens in that series. And also, I got the Cleveland Cavaliers wrong. The Cleveland Cavaliers won last night against the Toronto Raptors. Even though it was quite a game, the Toronto Raptors came back and won. I also got the Miami Marlins wrong last night too. Whoopie-doo. I think the Hawks beat the Knicks tonight, like I said, and force a Game 7. I think the Nuggets force a Game 7 against the Timberwolves, but we'll see. I could be wrong too. Even though my opinion was out of the NHL, we're going to go over the NHL score predictions tonight. I think the Minnesota Wild win tonight and close out the series against the Dallas Stars in Minnesota. I think the Oilers beat the Ducks in Anaheim, but the Ducks are one team. If the Ducks win tonight, that'd be interesting. Because a lot of these people thought Connor McDavid is one of the best players, and he has still yet to win one of these, a Stanley Cup. So if he loses tonight, he won't be able to win another Stanley Cup. And yes, I know he's been on the teams that have the Stanley Cup, and they lost the Stanley Cup back-to-back years against the Florida Panthers, but they could win it this year. But if they don't win tonight, their season's over. I mean, the Ducks are pretty good this year. Who would have figured the Anaheim Ducks to be this good, to be one win away from going on to the next round against the Edmonton Oilers, who all these experts think is one of the best hockey teams of date. But I think the Edmonton Oilers force a Game 7. I think the Minnesota Wild win tonight. The Pittsburgh Pirates are on a losing streak right now. Well, I still have the Pittsburgh Pirates for figuring it out. It's not good to lose 4 games against the Cardinals, but it's only April and it's still early in the season, so I'm not flipping out about it right now. But they need to start switching around. I mean, they lost 10-5, and we had Paul Heenan pitching today. I don't know what was wrong today with the pitching, but they need to figure that out before it gets too late. But I know it's only April, and they're 16-16, and in some of these divisions this year, they'll be in the top of their division, even though they're 16-16. But for some reason, the NL Central is really good this year. I mean, the NL Central is really good this year, but the Pirates need to keep winning. Need to start winning. They play the Reds tomorrow. The Reds are one of the top teams in the NL Central, and it'll be good if the Pirates can get a couple of those games. But they're not. They need to get an offense losing streak before it's too late. I mean, they're 16-16 now, and 9-8 at home. But some of these other teams in the NL Central are just good this year right now. But it's early April, and we still have plenty more baseball to go. We have 162 games, and we've played whatever. And we played so many of them, but we still have plenty more left. So it's still a long season to get irritated by a losing streak early on in the season. But it's not good. The Pirates need to finish this off and need to get back on their winning ways. But they don't need to keep losing, but we'll see. I know I got the Miami Marlins game wrong yesterday, but oh well, that's why I don't gamble. It's a joke. The Baltimore Orioles won 10-3 today, and now they're 15-15 at home. Or 15-15, 9-8 at home. They beat the Astros or 11-20. Who would have figured the Houston Astros to be this bad at 11-20 and 3-12 away? I know it's still early in the season, but the Pirates lost 10-5 today against the Cardinals. The Cardinals always seem to have the Pirates number, no matter what year. It always seems to have St. Louis Cardinals always seem to have the Pirates number, no matter how good or how bad they are. But let's hope the Pirates can beat them next time. The Mets lost 5-4 today. Now they're 10-12 at home and 10-21 overall and 6-12 at home. A lot of people think that the Mets should fire the manager like the Phillies did and change it up. Maybe they need to. I mean, they're not that good this year right now, and I know it's still early in the season, but I'd rather be like a Pirates fan. I'd rather be a Pirates fan, be at 16-16 than be 10-21. That's pretty bad. 10-21 early in the season. I mean, at least that 500. At least you're at 500. And an easy division. Even though your division's hard right now, at least you're at 500 in April. And still have plenty of baseball to go. I mean, I know the Mets can turn it around. Like I said about the Pirates, it's early baseball, but 10-21 is a little bit more of a turnaround than 16-16. The Athletics are winning 5-2 right now. I think they hold off. I think the Phillies win tonight. The Phillies have a new manager. They have Donnie Baseball back, Donnie Mattingly, because they fired their general manager a couple of nights ago. Even though the Boston Red Sox fired their whole coaching staff, they decided to fire the manager and rehire Don Mattingly to be the interim manager right now because the Phillies only had 9 wins at the time, but now they have 2 wins. The red hot Atlanta Braves lost to the Detroit Tigers today, 5-2. The Phillies won 1 game. I guess the Phillies had a doubleheader today, so they won game 1 of game 2, 3-2, against the San Francisco Giants, who the Giants are 13-17 and 6 away at home. The St. Louis Reds are 20-11. Jeez, they need to lose some to help the Pirates. And they're 10-8 at home. And the Colorado Rockies are 14-18 and 7-12 away. Wow, who would have figured that the Rockies would be better at this point of the season than the New York Mets, when the New York Mets have one of the highest payrolls and the Rockies don't. And the New York Mets have all these superstars on the team like Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto and all these, but they would be worse than the Colorado Rockies, who were one of the worst teams last year. That's why you never bet on baseball, I guess. The Brewers are 16-14 at home. See, the only 2 losses were better than us. And 10-8 at home. And they beat the Diamondbacks 13-0, and the Diamondbacks are 16-14. But the Pirates need to get off their losing ways, and they need to start winning. They need to get off this losing track. Let's hope they can beat the Reds tomorrow. I mean, I know they should have won today when they had their best pitcher, Paul Schemes, but they did not have the offense until late, and I don't know what happens. The Cardinals, like I said, they seem to always have the Steelers Pirates number. So let's hope the Pirates can get off losing ways. But it was a good season for the Penguins. I mean, I know it's a bitter disappointment that we lost to the Flyers, our arch rival. But we'll get back next year. I mean, who would have figured, like this year, like I said, but we would have been in the playoffs and made it this far. But we'll see. We still have, in NFL news, we still have no word from Aaron Rodgers yet. I don't know when we'll ever get word from Aaron Rodgers. I'm really starting to get sick and tired of Aaron Rodgers and really think that Aaron Rodgers needs to hit the bricks and just get out of town right now. And we need to go either Drew Will Howard or Mason Rudolph as a quarterback for next year and see how that goes. I mean, no, Aaron Rodgers is a future ballot Hall of Famer, but he keeps messing around with us. It keeps taking forever. It's getting tiring. Like I said, But we'll see. I think he'll still be here next year, but who knows? Luckily, they put a tender on him, so we tried to go somewhere else. We can at least get a complimentary pick out of it and maybe help us in the future, next year's draft. But let's hope he comes. I don't know. I know I'm going to change my tune if he does come back. So I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm going to be ready for whoever the quarterback is. But I just want to know who the quarterback will be right now. Will it be Aaron Rodgers or will he retire? I just want to know an answer. I mean, I know you don't even, if you don't want to come to off-season workouts, that's okay. With me, I just want an answer to see who's going to be our quarterback and who's going to be behind our center. Who's going to be behind Frazier, handing the ball off to the running back and throwing the ball. I mean, I know we did good. I know at least if we come back this year, we do have a lot better offense. I mean, I know we had Calvin Austin, and we never utilized Calvin Austin well. But we now have Michael Pittman and Bernard, who I think will be one of the steals of the draft. And Jeremiah Bernard, I think he'll be one of the steals of the draft. So now we finally have an offense of receivers, and we have still Pat Fryermuth and Mount Washington, our tight ends. But we'll see what happens. I think the Penguins, but we need Aaron Rodgers to make up a decision before it's too late. I know they gave him until training camp, but I hope he doesn't take that long to make up a decision because it is putting the team in limbo. I mean, I know they're going in right now picking Will Howard's quarterback number 1 in the offseason workouts, but they also did draft another quarterback on Drew Will in the 3rd round. So what does that mean? Does that mean they still don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? I think that's what that means, but we'll see. Or maybe they do know like they did last year. But I don't know if we do know like they did last year. I think Aaron Rodgers still doesn't know if he wants to retire or want to play next year for the Steelers to play in the NFL. But we'll see. But thank you for watching Stache Sports.